Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today I have part 2 on the Why Spirituality is Not a Personality Trait series. So in the last video, we talked about how spirituality isn't necessarily a lifestyle that you can follow that looks the same for every person. So essentially, yeah, if you haven't watched that video, go watch it. Essentially what we talked about was just that, like, to think that you have to become a hippie or like leave your job or you have to fit into some sort of box in order to be a spiritual person is just silly. And that we were talking about how we really do need people in all walks of life waking up, right? And we talked about how spirituality is simply waking up, right? Waking up to your true nature, waking up to the true nature of everybody else, waking up to the true nature of Earth, and then going out and doing what you can do to alleviate suffering for people, right? That you understand that we are all connected, and that when you are in, if you are in any kind of privileged position, if you have something that, or, you know, I think, okay, this is what we're going to get into today. So you don't need to quit your life and do something radical in order to become a spiritual person. All being a spiritual person is realizing your own true nature and going out and living that in a way that serves yourself and the world. So in this part, what I want to talk about is how spirituality is not a personality trait, meaning like it's not a caricature that you're meant to try and get yourself to be, okay? So I think that in the spirituality world, especially in the New Age community, but even in, like, you know, traditional religious cultures, there's this idea that in order to be a good spiritual person or a good Christian or a good person who is of Jewish faith, a good whatever, Catholic, you have to be calm and docile and meek and soft-spoken and loving towards everybody and accepting of everything and never get mad and never get sad and never get angry and never get any of these things. And this, to me, I think is like the biggest lie on the planet, one of the biggest lies on the planet, that in order to be a good spiritual person, essentially you have to be calm and docile. And I think it's important that we really, really allow ourselves to let go of this ridiculous mindset, because it's holding us back, it's making us feel terrible about ourselves, which holds us back, and it's not even true, okay? So the first thing I think we need to look at is that we all came with specific personalities, and I think anyone that's raised a child can attest to this, that if you've had more than one child, it wasn't like you had two blank slates that were exactly the same when they were born, and somehow because of just like slight tweaks in the way that you raised them, they became two completely different human beings, right? Like even if you have twins and you raise them the exact same way with the exact same parenting skills and, you know, the exact same time, the exact same stuff, those two twins are still going to have different personalities from one another, okay? And that's not a mistake that we're here to now fix, okay? You are an individual. You have an individual, unique personality. You have individual, unique interests. You have unique, individual skill sets. And that stuff is a part of your spirituality, okay? So what I'm saying here is, when we're all trying to become the spiritual caricature of the calm, meek, docile, loving everyone, accepting everything person, what we're actually doing is saying that there's only one little way that a person is allowed to be in order to be good, and that this is the only way that love can be expressed. And every other thing that we have, every other personality trait, every other characteristic, every other emotion, every other expression of any kind couldn't possibly be love, couldn't possibly be God, couldn't possibly be useful, and we need to get rid of it. And so that means that 99.99% of people out there are spending the whole time in their spiritual journey fighting with their individual, unique nature. And this is ridiculous for two reasons. Number one, when you're just sitting there fighting with yourself the whole time, right? You're never going to come to a realization of who you actually are, okay? And this is in the ultimate and in the relative, because remember, it's both, right? We're letting go of duality consciousness, which says you need to be in oneness all the time if you're going to be spiritual, because the relative person that you are is just the ego and it needs to be destroyed. We're over that. That's old paradigm thinking. It doesn't work. It doesn't mean anything. The true consciousness now is to see that yes, you are one with all things. You are connected. To like lose your ego identity for periods of time and to see yourself as the all, the oneness, the connection, right? But then to come back into the relative that you are and be the relative that you are with the awareness of your connection to everything. And so how can you live as yourself connected to everything? And this is so like understanding that when you start to understand this, that you are fundamentally good and fundamentally connected to everything else, you're going to go out and you're going to bring us, the oneness, all of your unique giftings, your unique aspects, your unique expressions, and it's going to lift us up. That's how this is going to work, because it's only when we're denying ourselves and rejecting ourselves and abandoning ourselves that we express ourselves as shadow, that we express ourselves as self-destructive or outwardly destructive. It's when we're rejecting ourselves and denying ourselves and telling ourselves we're not allowed to feel how we feel, you're not allowed to think what you think, you're not allowed to be who you are, you're not allowed to express what's natural to you, right? Then how are you ever going to find your thing that you're here to do, right? Because we each have a unique individual role to play in this. And I think that if we just look at how we are, that's an obvious fact, right? We are each individuals. We are all unique. It couldn't possibly be a mistake that we're all supposed to come into this amorphous blob of just like grace and compassion all the time, right? And so, and the other thing that I want to say is like, if we look at spirituality in the context of like gods and goddesses and all this stuff, they're not all love and light and everything is amazing, right? Jesus, the whatever you want to believe, the story of Jesus, or if Jesus was an actual man, whatever resonates with you, he was not calm and docile and nice and meek. He was mean. Like he like flipped tables and he told people to get back from him, Satan, and he was like impatient and he was aggressive. He was not calm and meek and kind. He was aggressive. He was really aggressive. He was rebellious. He was like an anarchist, technically, right? If we look at the goddess Kali, she's the goddess of destruction. The goddess, so representing divinity, of destruction, just tearing shit up, right? Wrecking things. And there, if you read the Bhagavad Gita, right? The character of God expresses all the ranges of humanity. He expresses sadness and doubt and anger, right? He's not all-knowing, all-wise, blah, blah, blah. You see? And then even if you're not into any of the goddess stuff or the religious, anything that has a religious context, let's look at nature. Is nature calm and docile and loving and gentle all the time? Not even kind of. Nature is crazy ass shit, right? Nature burns itself down, right? Nature will literally destroy an entire forest in order to have it be rebirthed, right? Every year, in places that experience actual 4 seasons, there's winter where nature kills itself, essentially, for 6 months to 9 months, right? And then there's new birth. But it's destructive, it's radical, it's violent at times. And so this is something that I think we really need to understand, that it's the human mind that came up with this idea that spirituality looks like peace and calm and just letting everything happen. And the second thing that I want to say about that is, if that were to be how we actually forced ourselves to be, just calm and docile and accepting everything all the time, That might work if every single human being simultaneously on the planet did that, okay? And if we all were just going to become an amorphous blob of not expressing any unique kind of, personality. Maybe you're feisty. Well, can't do that because you got to be calm and meek. You see what I'm saying? If we all did that, maybe that would be good for us, right? If we're all calm and peace and love all the time, okay, sure. But the fact of the matter is, that's not how this is working. That's not how this is going to work. We're waking up in waves, right? We're waking up and we're changing the way that the world functions, because this is the other kind of point of spirituality, right? True spirituality needs to have an element of action to it, right? Spirituality is not all about, your internal world and how you are as a personality, right? A huge part of true spirituality is like Gandhi going out and seeing the things that he sees in the world that he doesn't want to be that way and protesting, right? It's being the change that you want to see in the world. And in some ways, this is going to demand a destruction of the systems that exist, right? This is going to demand that we're not peaceful necessarily all the time. Sometimes we have to take shit down, right? That Kali energy. Another thing is, when we come to understand that the personality that we have is not wrong or bad, when we're not constantly sitting there fighting with ourselves, trying to make ourselves into somebody that we're not, right? We have the capacity to discover who we actually are, what our talents actually are, what we actually have to give as a fractal of God that is a unique aspect of the oneness, and what you have to offer the world to make it a better place. Because that is the thing. We all have power to make this world a better place. And it's going to take all of us deciding to make this world a better place to bring about peace, right? But we can't do that if we're sitting there being like, well, I'm not calm and loving and nice enough yet, right? So I'm going to say this, right? Like my personality, I'm not calm and meek and gracious all the time. And I used to fight with myself on that a lot. I used to hate that I was not nice or, gentle, the Mother Teresa type. And I used to think that was a flaw in me. And I used to, like I say, I used to second guess myself and doubt myself and hate myself about that a lot. But now I see that, for some people, and this is just what I've seen. For some people, in order to, activate them onto their, true self-growth, personal growth, spirituality journey, they need a kick in the pants. And I'm the kind of person that can deliver a kick in the pants, right? I'm relatively outspoken. I say things in absolutes. I can be very offensive. And for some people, that works. They need that. For some people, the calm, docile Mother Teresa type isn't going to get through to them. They're going to kind of write that person off, or not really listen to what they're saying, or look at them and be like, well, yeah, if that's spirituality, I'm never going to be that, because I'm not that at all. I'm so far from that. And so this is what I'm saying, is that we need all types. So again, just like we said in the last video, your personality, the way that you actually are, whether you're sassy or maybe you're kind of feisty, or maybe you get really passionate about things and loud, and maybe you like to take action, maybe you're angry about stuff, maybe you're really sad about things, maybe your heart gets broken a lot. What if that's not wrong? What if none of that's wrong? And what if you are to love that part of you, to love that aspect of you, instead of trying to get rid of it and watch it become your light, right? That anger can be turned into fuel to actually create change. And sometimes that's what it takes. Maybe that anger is exactly what you need to motivate you to go out and, give sandwiches to the homeless people. Anger is not necessarily a bad thing. And wanting to destroy stuff is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just doing it from a level of consciousness. So literally, it all boils down to you come into awareness of who you actually are. Stop judging yourself, stop rejecting yourself, stop trying to make yourself a caricature, and go on a self-discovery journey. Who am I really? And that happens through just saying, okay, here's where I'm at. This is what I'm like right now. Maybe this is who I really am, maybe this isn't. But if I keep just rejecting it offhand before I even look into it, I'm never going to become my highest self. I'm never going to become the person that the fractal of God, the unique individual of God that I came here to be. And then I'm never going to discover what my unique talents and strengths are. Either that, or I'm never going to believe in them enough to go and actually enact them and create the change in the world that I'm here to create. Because we are here to create change. You are here to create change. You are here to maybe destroy stuff. Or maybe you're here to build stuff. Or maybe you are the compassionate, loving Mother Teresa type. It doesn't matter either way, anyway. It's all good. We need all of it. And we need you to be who you are. So don't reject yourself. Don't try and fit yourself into some spiritual caricature and think that that's what spirituality is, because it isn't. Spirituality is fully understanding who you are in the context of the oneness and living as that person, right? Knowing that you are a part of the one. So everything you do affects everybody. So what are you going to do? Who are you going to be? Are you the destroyer type? Are you the builder type? Are you the flipping tables type? Are you the born it down type? Are you the, plant it type? We need all of them. And all of them expressed in the light are good. And that's the thing. When you're in your light, because you've accepted who you are, you're not going to be destructive to other people in a way that's actually destructive. You might be destructive to things that are destructive, right? But that doesn't make you a destructive person. That's actually a good thing. You take someone's drugs away from them, they'll get mad at you, but that's good for them, right? And sometimes we need each other for that. We play a role in each other's lives. So don't try and force yourself into a spiritual caricature. It doesn't exist. It's not real. Be yourself. Love who you are. And let that be expressed in the light. If you're feisty, let it be expressed in the light. So like for me, like making these videos, I'm a feisty, outspoken kind of person. And it's expressed in the light here, right? I could be sitting there grumbling and judging people and being angry and and doing that to myself. And that's just not helpful. Right? But I was never going to get rid of this part of my personality. You see? I tried. For years I tried. It didn't work. It's not going to work. Right? So now I'm just using it for the light. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you. Like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, Ali_Perception Trainers. Follow me on Facebook, Perception Trainers. Come join the Patreon community. I basically sit around and give you pep talks 2 to 3 times a month. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Mwah.